Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this Aston Township Board of Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, November 16th, 2022 to order. We all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you remain standing for a moment, please?
Good evening, everyone. I just want to take a few minutes to express my condolences to the family of Ann Nixon. Ann was a resident of the 7th Ward of Aston for 67 years. At the time of her passing on October 26th, Mrs. Nixon was 94 years old. I remember her best from when I would be doing door-to-door during the election cycle. I would see her in the backyard taking care of her beautiful flower garden, where she was proud to show me the garden. Both Ann and her husband Bill were involved in veterans organizations. Back in 2015, the board here, this board, recognized them for their 60th wedding anniversary. With that, I would like to have a moment of silence. Thank you.
All right, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of October 19th, 2022.
Make a motion.
Second. I have second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I'd like to move on to committee reports. Commissioner Dockett.
And before me, the Treasurer's Report for October 2022. Operating total cash in the general fund as of October 31st, 2022 was $3,068,118. Other funds include the TD Bank Bond Fund checking account, the fund accounts, the escrow accounts. I won't read them tonight. So total cash balance for the township as of October 31st, 2022 was $18,694,293.31. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Commissioner Pendergrass.
Thank you, Commissioner. Taking a report for Public Works Activity Report for October 2022 to November 2nd, 2022. The following reports highlight the main activities of the Public Works Department, led by the Director of Public Works, Russ Powell. All metal was picked up throughout the township. All township vehicles and Aston PD vehicles were maintained and serviced. All streetlight issues were reported to NI Electric for replacement or repair. All township parks and properties have branches and trash removed by the highway department. All small engine repairs were completed in-house by our quality mechanics. All E11 call sheets were reviewed and applicable streets were marked as per E11 guidelines. The inlet at 99 Legion Road was repaired and reinforced using concrete and mortar. Our team set up all tables, chairs, etc. for the Aston Community Day and cleaned up the grounds following the activity. We moved the detective furniture to the new location, the bottom floor of the police station. Our mechanics began the process of getting all Public Works vehicles ready for winter. This includes salt spreaders, salt boxes, etc. Fencing of Glendale Retention Pond was cleared of all vegetation. Our sanitation department picked up 55.32 tons of recycling and 469.35 tons of residential waste. A reminder to all residents to dispose of medical waste property, as radiation can be found in something as small as a tissue or an adult diaper. Nuclear medicine patients should contact their doctors for more instructions on the proper disposal of medical waste. Please remember that the first full week is metal and appliance week. Bulk trash week no longer exists. Anything that can burn can be put out on the curb for any trash at any time. Please have your trash at the curb by 6 a.m. for your designated trash day. Any questions or complaints, please contact Russ Powell, Director of Public Works, at 610-494-8005. I had one more thing about the offices and everything. Aston Township offices and Public Works Departments will be closed on Thursday, November 24th, and Friday, November 25th, for the Thanksgiving holiday. All money and Tuesday trash recycling will be picked up on Monday, November 21st. All Wednesday and Thursday trash and recycling will be picked up on Tuesday, November 22nd. All Friday trash and recycling will be picked up on Wednesday, November 23rd. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Pendergrass. Commissioner Berry.
Thank you, President. This is the police report. It's Incidents occurred October 2022. Incidents handled 539. Accident investigations 33. Criminal investigations 35. Criminal cases cleared 13. Clearance rate for Part 1 crimes is 13%. And clearance rate for Part 2 crimes is 55%. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Berry. Commissioner Higgins?
Thank you. Following is a report for permits and licenses issued for the month of October 2022. Beginning balance, $452,177, $4,005,177. Total income from building permits and general contractor licenses, $6,957. Total electrical permits, $1,171. Total plumbing and heating permits and licenses, $12,297.50. No income from Board of Health licenses. Income from peddlers and vendors permits, $1,200. No income from commercial maintenance inspections. Income from certificates of occupancy, $2,300. Income from rental licenses, $2,250. Income from street openings, $7,170. Total revenue collected, $33,346. Total for 2022 year to date is $485,523. October 2021, it was $1,028,679. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Higgins. Commissioner Bowden?
First of all, I have the library report. If I could let all of you know that on Friday, December the 2nd, 10 a.m. at the library, there will be a free showing of where the call-outs sing. The second thing you take on the wall now is they're having crafting groups, and you can learn to craft with a group of supervisor peers. The crochet group meets on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. The more general craft group meets on Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. If you'd like to bring your child to our weekly story time, the infant and toddler times with Miss Raven is on Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. The preschool and older toddler time is with Miss Amy on Thursdays at 10:30 a.m. The Aston Public Library would like to thank each and every one of the residents for its 2022 fund drive. And the more important thing is the Christmas tree lighting, which we're all excited about, is going to be Friday, December the 2nd at 6:30. And the special guests will be there. You'll be arriving about 6:45. So if you'd like to bring your kiddies up, there'll be pictures with Santa at no cost to the individuals. There'll be crafts, refreshments, and a snowball challenge for some of the young children to participate in. There'll also be a decorating your home contest. The judges will be coming around December 11th to December 18th to judge all the houses. This year we're going to do it by wards. So if you live in the first ward, there'll be 2 winners from that ward. There'll be 2 winners from each of the 7 wards. And there'll be prizes, like a first prize and a second prize in each ward. And lastly, I'd like to remind everybody that the seniors meet tomorrow for their Thanksgiving dinner at the Aston Community Center at 10:45, and they're having entertainment of jazzercise. And that's all I have, Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioner Bowden. Commissioner McGinn?
Thanks, Commissioner Sagal. I'm going to segue from my traditional Aston Township Fire Committee and Fire Department report to talk about something I think is a big accomplishment for the township. Between this year and last, our Fire Committee has worked for a while, and I mentioned these meetings about last year when Crozier came to us, Prospect Health, and said they were going to put us on notice and stop providing the ALS, which is the Advanced Life Support services that is hosted right here, pretty much trip behind us. So we had a number of meetings, other commissioners, Commissioner Berry, Commissioner Bowden, our whole fire department organization led by Sean Joyce and others, and Tom Morgan, and our staff. And we looked at a lot of different options, had some back and forth with Crozier, and are happy to report that reached an agreement with Crozier where they're going to continue to provide their services without any additional cost to Aston Township or any of us as taxpayers. So I do want to publicly commend Crozier and thank the new leadership for looking at things a little differently, working with us throughout the process. And I want to thank everybody in terms of the fire department, Tom Morgan, fellow commissioners and staff who put in a lot of time, reached out to other organizations, looked at what costs, what options were, really pleased and pleasantly surprised but it wasn't without a lot of hard work that we were able to do this. So when you look at it, I think there's a lot of effort and focus, and a great thing where that's not something that's going to create additional costs for us as taxpayers and residents in Aston, whether you're a resident, business owner, or anybody. So special thanks to Crozier, and very happy to provide that announcement and update for the fire committee for this month. Thanks, Commissioner Segal.
That's a great announcement. I'll take that anytime. Thank you. All right, I'd like to move on. I need approval of the treasurer's report.
Make a motion.
Second.
I have second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. I need a motion to pay the bills and payroll.
Make a motion.
Second.
I have second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. This time I'd like to open up the floor to the public for agenda items only. If somebody has a question about an item on the agenda, you can come to the podium.
Nicholas Spencer, 30 Morgan Road. This includes new business, right?
Yeah, whatever's on the agenda.
What's the starting bid for that generator?
It was on pending. If there was no starting bid, it was just, I think we only got one offer for it.
Oh, so is the bid, is it still open?
It's done now. It was on there for, I think, 30 days, and now it's off.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else agenda items? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move on to Commissioner Higgins for conditional use.
I make a motion to place the meeting in Sendai.
I have second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Beth?
Thank you, Commissioner Segal. Tonight is a conditional use application of Brooks Quality Towing LLC to operate a towing company and to store cars in a fenced and graded lot on property located at 25 Mount Pleasant Road, also known as lot number 59 in Aston, Pennsylvania. The property is located in the LI district. Public notice of tonight's hearing was advertised on November 1st and November 8th edition of the Daily Times, and I will have the publication introduced to the Edmonton Township's file. The property was also posted and notice was mailed to the adjacent property owner. Present tonight is Gregory Scadia, counsel for Brooks Quality Towing. He's affiliated with the law firm of Scadia and Associates with I believe also present is Wayne Hoops. Mr. Hoops is also present tonight. At this point, I'd like to call you to a vote. Would you like to? So, Mr. Scalia, just for purposes of how we're going to run things, why don't you go ahead and give your presentation, and I'll have a few questions, the commissioners will have a few questions, and then we'll open it up to the public. Yep, very good.
Everyone?
Yes.
The reason is you all want to put it as an application for conditional use variance and basically the proper.
Sir, could you?
Sorry, can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
You need to say something so you can hear out loud.
Oh, yeah, this is for conditional. This is for conditional use variance. The property is located at 25 Mount Pleasant Drive in Aston, PA 19014. It's also known as Lot 59, folio number 0200016222-12. We provided 7 sets of plans to, when we applied for the permit, paid the proper fee, submitted the application, and I understand that there is an issue with right now there's only a trailer at the site, and we are working on getting a permanent structure because I understand that that's going to be required, and so we're going to obviously work on that, but I also have the lease as well with So Mr. Coates has the owner's permission, he's a tenant on the property, he has the owner's permission to apply for this variance, and he has the lease, he's a tenant, obviously, and the lease proves that. I'm happy to take any specific questions about the variance.
Okay, the property is owned by Mr. Smith, correct?
That is correct, lease here with that.
And this is a 2-year lease for the property?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Can you, actually, is your client going to testify at all?
Well, he can testify as to the use if you feel that's appropriate. I mean,
Well, yes.
yeah, sure, absolutely, yes. If you want to swear him in first.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Mr. Coates, when did you begin renting the property?
August, I think we signed on it. This year, 2022.
And what is your intention, how are you going to use the property?
Currently towed for the Pennsylvania State Police, so just picking up accident cars, impounded vehicles, and storing them to the customers or insurance companies.
Other than storing vehicles on the property, you're going to store anything else on the property?
No.
Okay, can you describe do you know how big the lot is that you're leasing?
Not on hand.
Can you describe, how is it currently being used?
Right now, we're not using it.
Okay, well, before you started the lease, do you know how it was being used? Can you describe what it is? Is it just like an open lot?
I think it was storing equipment.
So can you speak in the speaker?
I think it was storing equipment, I'm not sure.
Okay. I received a phone call from, I think the attorney for Mr. Smith, who informed me that you were asked by the Pennsylvania State Police to open up a location such as this?
Yes, to come out in this area and work, yes.
Okay. Who from the Pennsylvania State Police asked you to do that?
Trooper Tustin.
I'm sorry, Trooper who?
Tustin, T-U-S-T-I-N.
And did he say why you needed to be an asset?
They just asked for extra help out in this area.
Okay. Are there certain regulations that are required by the state police for the tow operators?
They do have some requirements, a fenced-in yard, surveillance, basic stuff to keep vehicles safe.
Are you familiar with all the regulations that they require?
All of them, no.
Okay. If the commissioners were inclined to grant conditional use approval, would you agree as a condition to be fully compliant with all the regulations set forth by the Pennsylvania State Police?
Yes, I mean, we meet all the requirements that they ask for on the application, yeah. So they come out and inspect the property before we open it up, or they let us go.
So currently at the property, I know you started operating, I believe, sometime this summer out of that location.
Late August, yes.
Okay. Is there any office space there now?
Well, there's a temporary trailer that we got there.
Okay. And is there an intention to build a structure on that lot?
Possibly in the future, yes. But that all depends on the property owner's intentions in the long run.
So the plan that your attorney attached to the conditional use approval, that doesn't show a structure on that. That's just where you're going to store the cars, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Is the lot currently fenced?
Yes.
What are your plans for security?
It's fenced in, we have cameras. It's, has barbed wire around the top of the fence, 6 foot fence.
Okay. What are your hours of operation?
8 to 4, 8:30 to 4:30 there. But we're on call 24/7.
Do you have a location elsewhere?
Yes.
Where's that?
Norwood, Pennsylvania.
And is there a structure in the Norwood facility?
Yes.
And how big is that lot?
The lot, I'm not offhand, but it's not as big as what the current one has.
Okay. One thing I had to dig up, the other night, I lost already. So, do you have a Salvers license?
Yes.
And at what address is that license?
129 Chester Pike, Norwood, yeah.
Okay. Will you need a new Salvers license in the
I
active
don't think so,
location?
no.
You don't?
I don't think so.
And do you have a junkyard license?
I don't have, a salvage and junkyard can be similar, but I don't have a specific junkyard license. I have a salvage license, which you can operate with as a junkyard.
If it's determined that you're gonna need a specific salvage license for the Aston location, is that something that you're willing to do?
Yes.
How many trucks do you have?
5.
And will all 5 of them be stored at the Aston
No.
location?
No.
Yeah, actually, just to clarify, the only thing is the place to store vehicles that are towed at the Aston location.
Yes, they're sort of out there.
Yeah, he's not going to store any of his own vehicles or equipment at that location, just so we're clear.
Okay, so I understand that, the property you were strike that. You mentioned that you started operating the business sometime this summer. Am I correct that a zoning violation was issued against you?
Yes.
And that zoning violation was for operating without permission, because it's not a permitted use,
For
correct?
continuing use, sir.
And that's what prompted your presence here today?
Yes.
Correct, yes. Am I also correct that violation also required you to cease and desist any operations at that
Yes.
location? Have you continued to operate at that location? I understand that you were at the property yesterday with your tow truck, is that correct?
Outside the property on the land, not inside the property. So we were at 25 Mount Pleasant, but not inside the yard, outside on private property.
Okay, so the zoning officer sent me pictures of you pulling out of the lot?
Of not in the gated lot, no.
Okay. What were you doing there?
We're sitting out on the private property waiting for calls. But we were not inside 25 Mount Pleasant, I have that on camera.
Okay, so what property were you sitting at then?
The location, we weren't inside, Coach probably told me inside the gate, we weren't inside it. So it's an open lot, we're back in the corner.
Right.
We sit on a private property owned by 5 Oaks property, not inside the lot we use.
So someone else's property you were sitting on?
Yes,
Okay. And you were also given a violation notice for having the trailer on the property,
Yeah.
correct? And am I correct that that violation notice also required you to remove the trailer?
yes,
And the trailer's still there, right?
yeah.
Okay. Do you have any plans on removing it?
I guess it depends on what is here.
Well, did the township zoning officer require you to remove it?
That was in a notice, yes, and we have a court hearing for that.
Yeah, that hearing actually was postponed until to next month, and we're going to discuss it then. Obviously, if he certainly should remove it, we'll remove it. At that time, we were trying to address one issue at a time, so that was kind of on hold. But I actually spoke with the zoning officer, and he had said that we can wait till that hearing before addressing the trailer. So that's why we kind of stopped doing everything until this hearing and then that hearing next month. So,
Well, sir, do you understand that even if the commissioner made a conditional use approval, you still need to build a structure
Yes.
before you can operate on the property?
yes, we're aware of that. Yes, that's what.
Okay. So at what point are you going to remove the trailer?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So at what point are you going to remove the trailer?
Well, yeah, if we have to remove the trailer, we'll definitely remove the trailer. It's just that again, we were doing 3 different things at the same time: the cease and desist of the variance application and the removal of the trailer. So we put that, we're looking at the third, because we're gonna do the first two things first, but if you tell me if you indicate you want the trailer removed, immediately, then we'll remove it immediately. Because when I spoke with the zoning officer, he said that wasn't a top priority. The two other ones were a top priority first, and that's why we relegated it to a third priority.
I'm going to go to my notes. I may have some more questions, but at this point, I think I'll turn it over to the commissioners. If they have any questions.
I have a question.
But we can't.
Did you say
hear
we couldn't hear you?
I'm going to look over my notes.
She's gonna.
And I may have some questions later, but for now, I'll turn it over to the commissioners. If any of the commissioners have any questions.
I do have a question. It was stated that there were plans given. We have those. Thank you.
Right, that was the question that I asked because the plans don't talk about a building. It just shows where the trailer is and where the cars are going to be located.
Commissioner Duff.
Yeah, I'm a little confused. So currently it's an open lot, 25 Mount Pleasant is an open lot?
Well, it's an open lot, but it's fenced in, it's a big open lot, but there's a small fenced in area that we're basically putting there.
So the fenced area is a 6-foot fence with barbed wire?
Yes.
Okay, never mind, thank you.
Mr. Pendergrass.
Yeah, I do. You're storing these cars and trucks, there's over your main thing is?
Yes.
Okay, you're looking at these, like, cars were in accidents and stuff like that?
Yes, either abandoned or.
Right. Well, I worked in a junkyard years ago. They used to bring the cars, and you had to drain the gas out. Otherwise, they'd be pulling the tanks or they'd start leaking on the ground. But you have any system in your system to pin it stuff up?
Yeah, if a car is leaking, yes, we do have stuff.
Okay.
But we don't automatically drain the gas tanks.
But I'm just thinking from an accident, if it's hit.
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
want the
yes,
tank
yes.
in. Okay, that's all I have.
How big do you think you can build a building? Or get a building on a
Well,
level lot?
the issue is cost, it's not quickness, it's cost. I mean, quickness is a matter, but, in other words, it's
If you
even
want to
cost.
operate there, you have to have a building.
Yes, yes, well, yes.
That's my question.
All right, I have a couple. Follow-up on Commissioner Pendergrass' question. Are these cars wrapped in anything, or are they just
So what do you mean by wrap?
are they some kind of material that if a bumper's hanging off or something that you're not dragging it down the road? Is there a way that?
I mean, if there's bumpers hanging off and we ride to the scene, we'll take them off. If we don't, so, I mean, they go on flatbed, so nothing's touching the ground as you're telling.
He did ask the question, you answered that you do drain the gas, where?
No, I said, don't drain.
You don't. So,
if it's leaking on scene, we'll clean up, and there's procedures if it's leaking on scene. If we take a car back to the yard, it's not draining, that's not leaking gas, we're not gonna touch the gas tank.
what happens if it's still leaking?
If it's leaking, we'll plug it, or we'll have buckets, or we have, soaked up pads and everything, so we have oil dry, there's ways of cleaning it.
All right, and then part of your presentation for your conditional use is this plan?
Yes.
Dated September 14th this year. So I'm basically looking at a proposed office trailer.
Yeah, well, no, right now, there's a trailer on the property right now.
So what am I looking at, the current condition of it? Or your,
Yes, that's
or your plans for the future?
No, that's the current condition.
So that you have a trailer here, and you have because everything's proposed on this. It's proposed office trailer, proposed double gate.
Yeah.
You can look at it.
I'm not sure why they would, that might just been.
So my question is-
Because that's actually how it is right now.
Everything-
That's how it is right now.
You're showing, I'm looking at a plan, everything's proposed.
I think they just wrote that, I mean, I'm not sure why it's proposed, but that's how it
I
actually
know
is
it's
in real life right
intended.
now.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
So, this is the current condition?
It is, that is correct.
I just want to make sure I know what I'm looking at. Sure. How close are you to any cricks?
To the west branch.
West Branch?
Yeah. On the other side of the business.
And what about stormwater drainage? How close are you to that? That's all I have right now. I might come back.
Very nice.
Yes.
How you doing, gentlemen? Is John Smith the owner of this property?
He is.
Then you know that John Smith owns a number of properties up there in the park. And, he owns a number of businesses. This is not his first rodeo, okay? So with the plans that, Commissioner Stigall had there, were these discussed with, John Smith at all?
Absolutely, numerous times. In fact, he's been, I mean, and again, there's been proposals to build a building, not just on that property, but on other properties in the park. But again, economic conditions have changed, and but he has been working with the land use person in the township for the last 2 years on various things. So you're correct. It's not his first rodeo. It's been ongoing, as I said before. If it costs them $2.5 million to build a building on that property, clearly that's not going to happen. Then whether then Mr. Cook's have to go to another location, because obviously he's not going to spend $2.5 million to build a structure there, and neither is Mr. Smith. So, but if we can work on another solution, then everyone can win, that would be terrific. So like maybe building a foundation under the trailer or something, to that effect.
Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but the trailers need to have facilities, right? Or the structure needs to have facilities like restroom.
Yeah, I think that was part of the violation by the code officer for that very reason.
There's a restroom in the trailer. There's a restroom in the trailer.
Not connected to public.
Oh, no, it's not like, no, but it's not like the plumbing, no. It's a.
Well, what I was getting at by asking did you meet with John, he knows the rules. He knows what the ordinances are. The ordinance, regardless of what the economic conditions are, the ordinance is in place. And that's something that is required, anytime you have just a property. You can't use it unless you have, that structure. And I know John knows it, because we've had those discussions on several projects over, how many years, And I've been here about 17 years, so I know we've had, these discussions. So I'm surprised that he would even let you come on the property and use it without having the meeting requirements, so put it that way. I'm just surprised.
He's got a call from state police, he'll be back.
Okay, well, I'm certain you can.
Yeah.
So the ordinance requires that you have a building. So you would say that if, this is too costly, you'll probably go somewhere else, right?
Yeah, because obviously depending on, because obviously right now my client is the tenant, John is the owner.
Correct.
So we have two options, either John's gonna build a permanent structure, or my client's gonna build a permanent structure. But clearly someone's gotta build a permanent, or as I said, not so much a permanent structure, but maybe, as I said, maybe we can work together, maybe a permanent foundation and the proper tie-ins to meet the requirements of the ordinance without spending $2.5 million. So, that is ultimately, that would be the goal, to make everyone win, so to speak.
Okay, so you mentioned 2.5 million.
Yeah, that would be, to build the building size to build the building on the property to meet all the regulations, I'm told that's what the cost would be.
So how big of a building are you thinking you would need to, if you're just going to put the cars there, okay, obviously somebody's going to be there to accept the cars when they come in on Zoom or.
Sure.
Okay, so how big of a building are you going to need? Because 2.5 seems like a lot of money.
Well, again, I'm not sure, I'm not, again, I didn't get the specs on exactly what that incorporated. I'm just telling that I'm just explaining that basically, if the number is reasonable and doable, then I'm sure it'll get done. And if the number is cost prohibitive, then it won't get done. It's really as simple as that. Whether it's 2.5 million or 1 million or 500,000 or 200,000, at the end of the day, it depends on if neither John or my client, Coach Tony, can afford to pay that. It doesn't matter what the number is, right?
Right. Well, you were talking about a pecking order, taking care of business, okay?
Yes.
So, can you go over those with me again? The first one?
Oh, sure. There was several. There was 3 violations issued to Mr. Coates or the Coach Tony. One was a cease and desist. One was the violation of the variance for not having a building, and the third was the removal of the trailer. That was the final one. The final one was removal of the trailer. Actually, the first 2 were given, I think, around the same time. Then a few weeks later, there was a removal of the trailer. So I did speak with the zoning officer who issued those citations, and in fact, there was a hearing scheduled, I believe, for last week, and it was postponed because we felt that we wanted to have this hearing first before we addressed that, and because we wanted to address the other 2, the cease and desist and the variance issue first. He agreed, we both agreed that would be the way to go. We continued that for a couple of weeks. I think it's in the middle of December now, the 3rd week of December. And he said, he didn't tell me at any time you have to remove the trailer immediately, because obviously if he would have said that, I would have told my client to do that. So he said that you could leave right the way it is right now until you get through the hearings for the first 2 items. And that's what we did, obviously.
Okay. Why would you be challenging the cease and desist?
No, we're not challenging that, I'm sorry, but what I'm saying is that what we did was we immediately applied for this hearing, we submitted the plans, paid the fee, filled in the application, spoke with the engineer, spoke with John Smith, in other words, and I apologize, in addressing the cease and desist, this hearing was to address the cease and desist as well as the variance application. So those were the 2 top priorities, and that's what we did first.
The purpose of this meeting is not to address the cease and desist.
No, I apologize. What I meant was that basically, the reason there's a cease and desist is because we don't have a variance. That was my point.
That's correct.
Right, so obviously we were moving to get a variance to address the cease and desist, because obviously once the code enforcement officer realized we applied for a variance to address that issue, that's how we were dealing with that, if I didn't say that correctly the first time.
It seems like somebody's confused because we're not addressing the variance tonight. We're hearing a request for a conditional use for the property, not the the violation. We're not addressing the violation tonight. In fact, we're not even going to vote tonight. Correct. In this way.
Yes, agreed. No, I'm sorry. What I meant was basically the conditional use, but the cease and desist was directly related to the conditional use. That was what I was trying to explain to you. At least that's what the code enforcement gentleman told me. So he said, do this hearing first. We can plead. All the violations have been postponed until December 21st. And obviously, he wanted to make sure this hearing occurred first before we address those violations. That, if I didn't say that correctly the first time, I apologize.
You don't owe me an apology. No. There just seems to be some confusion. Is my line of questioning right?
Your line of questioning is appropriate, and I actually was going to circle back more on the violations.
You are? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I don't have any more questions. Thank you. Thanks for tolerating me.
Excuse me, I just don't want to- you keep referring to a zoning officer and code officer. Who did you speak to?
Oh, I'm sorry. The code officer I spoke with. I'm sorry.
So you spoke to no one at zoning?
That's right. The only direction I had with zoning was when we applied for the permit.
Okay, so you spoke with our code?
Yeah, the code enforcement officer.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah, sorry
All
about
right,
that.
no problem. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm going back to the cease and desist thing. I'm confused. I want you to go over it one more time with me. You're here for conditional use.
That is correct.
It has nothing to do with the cease and desist.
That is correct. Cease and desist, yes.
So you were cited by our code officer
That's correct.
for a cease and desist.
Cease and desist.
Of what?
Of operating out the, well, no, when he first, so, before I was hired, Mr. Copes was operating at that location, because he didn't realize he needed to apply for the variance in the first place. So, or conditional use in the first place, so.
I just needed to-
And that's why, I apologize for not making that clear at the very beginning, sorry about that.
And since that cease and desist was issued,
Yes,
have you been operating?
no,
Thank you, that's all I have.
no problem.
Thanks. In Aston, we have different wards, so just the business in that business park is in my ward, the second ward of Aston. So just give me some background for some of the questions.
Sure.
So you had mentioned that the current business is in Norwood, or your original location, however you would call it, on Chester Pike. So is that also what you use for the tow yard and everything there?
Yes, for that area down
Okay. Do you have any other locations?
there. No.
No. How long have you been in operation?
At Norwood or in general?
In general?
5 years.
Okay. And how long in Norwood? That's
Just past 2 years at that location.
Okay. And where were you at before that?
I just operated out of, not my house, but I didn't start selling.
What was that? I didn't hear your last.
I didn't, I was operating as by myself for the last, my first couple of years in business. And then when we started, got the police contract, that's when we acquired the
So how would that work then? Would you tow to other people's yards?
Well, I wasn't storing cars, in the first couple of years. I was doing inside service.
Okay. So you would tow them wherever they
To
needed
get
to
to
go?
mechanic shops or their house.
Right. So one thing, our solicitor had asked a question about a salvage license. So for me and others that might not understand the business, what is that?
If you get left with abandoned cars, you have to follow, certain pieces of paperwork and have officers sign off on them, and then you send that paperwork to the state, and they try to reach out to the last registered owner, let them know that the car can be up for salvage, and if there's no response, they'll issue a title for the car, and then you can auction it off.
Okay. And then since it was referenced in terms of a junkyard, by definition, is this a junkyard?
No, the cars get picked up by customers or insurance companies.
Okay.
Cars go get crushed.
So
I think sell spare parts, it's a totally different operation than junkyard. Salvage is, I mean, salvage makes this towing the cars, storing them either for the person to pick up or getting rid of them. On the fact, when you get rid of your cars, don't you take them to the junkyard?
Yes.
Okay.
So he's not a junkyard.
So then the only use or only cars on lot outside of the ones that you operate would be ones that you would be towing on behalf of the state police?
Yes, that's the only thing that would get stored.
Okay. So in your time, certainly, obviously seems like a rough kind of kickoff in accident for business.
I say I should have did a little bit more.
Yeah, so in terms of in your business in Norwood, have you been, or at any other locations, have you been cited or fined, or issued any?
No.
Okay. For this business, what are the hours of operation?
So we're on call 24/7, but we're only required by the state police to deal with 40 hours a week for the cars.
Okay.
So actually it would be 8:30 to 4:30.
So the intent would be to be open 8:30 to 4:30?
Yes, Monday through Friday.
And then, obviously storing vehicles, they're valuable. So what is the security of the location?
Like I said, it's a fenced-in gate with barbed wire around top, and we have surveillance cameras.
Okay.
We have 7 cameras on
Yeah. Is there any other use of that property other than your business?
top. No.
Okay. And is how many employees do you have?
I have 6.
Okay. Where are they based, in Norwood?
Yes, well, they're spread out throughout the area. I had 2 guys that do specific work for another company. That's one of my customers. And I have guys stationed, one guy up here, and a couple guys out here. So not
Where?
everybody
Sorry.
is going to be here.
What is where?
In the Norwood area.
So would there be any employees that would be employees in Aston Township?
Yeah, I'll have a guy stationed down here.
Right now, there's one guy stationed
Okay. Prior to the season?
there. Correct.
Is there anybody working there now?
No.
The ground itself at the site, this is a question in terms of the environmental side. Is it dirt? Is it paved? Is it permeable or impermeable?
It's not paved, but it's level, and I guess you could say it's rocks mixed with, buildings. It's been graded.
Okay. So a question for our engineer, Joe Scuso. So for a situation like this, is there anything, I don't know if it's us or with the sewer authority, do we know about, stormwater or any issues there? Because I know that's always something that gets raised in terms of.
Yeah, I was going to ask, when you were done, I was going to ask a serious question, but I had seen.
Okay, I'll defer to you, and you can answer that. So how does it work in terms of pickup, for cars and actually before that, answer that. So you mentioned it could be an insurance issue or like an accident.
Yeah.
Are there any other, does the state police tow any other cars there?
Yes, we have arrest or, not properly legal car, insurance, registration, suspended driver's license.
Okay. Are there ever times in your business, because I can imagine they could be at times high level of anxiety with folks picking up a car? Are there times where you have to make 911 calls or have police response?
We haven't had to have that done yet in either location, but if that arises, yes.
Okay. And just the last general one, I might come back, but, obviously you look at this and kind of look at it from Aston Township and representing the township. What would you say is the benefit of this business to Aston Township? Okay.
Well, I would say, obviously, if the board is able to assume we can move forward and get the variance, or the conditional use, I'm sorry. Basically, I'm sure you would hire more employees, because again, you have a contract now with the state police. I'm sure we'll get other contracts and keep growing. So there'd be employees, obviously, employment in Aston, obviously, if he grows, maybe he'll buy a building in Aston one day, or so obviously, it just depends on, how things go.
Sure. And just one general thing answered, but some of the questions I asked, I got feedback and calls in the last, this week from some neighbors in the area. And, one of the major concerns, just so that you guys know, was hours of operation, and concern about theft. Especially a couple of them were other business owners in the area. Just a concern of, hey, with security, because they're not a 24-hour business. And for being on trailer parks, you have equipment there and a worry about that. So for others, but that is a concern. I'm interested in thoughts in terms of how that is addressed, but hours of operation, obviously, sounds like that would be a 40-hour business as opposed to all hours of the day.
Can I ask, what I just whispered over the list, do you only tow for the state police?
Out this area, yes.
I mean, your other business, your other location, does that tow for the state
It
police?
tows for the state police, we also tow for 5 local township police, and then I have a couple other customers that we tow for.
Okay, so that is not just solely for the state police?
Norwood location, no.
But this one would?
This location out in Aston would be strictly for the state police.
Initially, obviously, we get other, once we get going.
Yes, if I was approached to tow for Aston or another local township around here, of course we would take it on. But strictly, our intentions out here as of right now would be to tow strictly for the state police.
I'm kind of confused, so help me with this. You said you were approached by, I wrote the name down of Officer Husky?
We were asked if we would like to have additional work out in this area.
So you wouldn't have been able to provide it in the area that we're located in now?
In Norwood?
Yes.
Yes, I would be able to.
Okay, so that is your question, thank you.
I have another question. What are 5 townships you mentioned? 5 townships you're going for?
Prospect Park, Norwood, PA, Glenolden, PA, Alden, PA, and Collindale, PA. We also tow for the FBI in Philadelphia.
And that's being, okay. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Jeff?
Just want to get a couple things on the record and ask you a question. So we can agree that the property is in the LI district? Probably would know that.
Oh, yeah,
You're in the
yes,
industrial
yes.
district.
Yes.
Okay. And a question was asked earlier about the plan that you provided says that a portion of the property is located within the flood hazard zone K district. So there is a portion of the property that's in the flood hazard area, according to the plan that you provided.
Sure, yes, that's
Okay. And then since we agree that we're in the LI district, then section 1278.07 C sets forth the regulations for parking and loading. And I assume that you haven't read those regulations, but I guess I'll make the statement that any parking or loading or unloading has to be in accordance with chapter 1284 of the zoning board. The access to you said earlier that the lot is not paved, it's just crushed stone.
Inside the gate?
Yes.
Yes,
It's just crushed stone.
yes.
Okay, so that if a vehicle were leaking gas and or oil, it's going to go into the ground at that point.
Yes, we would try to limit, get as little as possible between the car park lot and the truck.
Right, but if it's continuing to leak, it's going to go. We can agree that if it's going through, if it's on crushed stone, it's going to go into the ground.
I mean, we can prevent it as best you can.
As best you can. I agree.
Pads and everything like that.
I agree. Doing as best you can.
Also, I want to make sure we're clear that basically a lot of these vehicles are not leaking old. We're really just worried about vehicles that have been in accidents. And if a vehicle's been in an accident and it's leaking on the scene, they're going to remediate it at that location,
Right.
make sure that before it gets towed, it's not still leaking while it's on the flatbed and when it's, just so we're clear on that.
Right.
Okay.
I get that, but I'm saying, if it is leaking or does leak, it's on pervious stone where it's going to go into the ground. That section of the zoning ordinance for limited industrial then refers you to the performance standards of section 1280. Section 1280 sets forth those performance standards. Have you read those performance standards, or do you agree how do you feel you're in compliance with the performance standards of section 1280.03? Because that's a requirement of the conditional use to be in accordance with those performance standards. I'll just make that statement that
Yeah, no, I understand.
any requirement, the conditional use has to be in accordance with those standards. And then one of the conditions of that 1282.02C requires the application for industrial use shall be reviewed by the township engineer for compliance with these performance standards, and no application shall be approved until it's certified in writing by the township engineer that the proposed use met the performance standards. So you don't really you've been operating on the site, but no one has approached my office to get that certification that you're in accordance with the standards.
That's true. I guess I'm a little confused though, because limited use, I'm not sure that 1280, for storing, I was looking at the section I thought applied, and you could correct me.
Any use in the LI district has to comply with 1278.09, which refers you to the performance standards.
I thought we were complying with 1278.03, section 8.
That's for the conditional use, but any use in the LI district has to comply with the performance standards, even if you get conditional use.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. That's all my questions.
So, Mr. Copes, I'm struggling with the fact that you're here requesting conditional use approval while willfully violating the township's zoning codes. So the three violation notices, one has to do with the trailer, and if I understand your attorney's testimony, that apparently Mr. Nicolai told you you don't need to move it after all, even though there is a cease and desist requiring you to remove it. So I guess I need to accept your attorney's representation, and I can follow up with Mr. Nicolai about that myself, but that's not my understanding. So these photographs, I asked Mr. Nicolai to take these pictures for me, showing the current condition of the property, which obviously shows the presence of the trailer. So the photographs show, I guess, that green fenced-in area. That's the area that you've been talking about that currently is where you've been operating the business, correct?
Yes, exactly.
And then there's a photographs of, I guess, your truck, and I think that's where you had testified earlier that you were hanging out in the property next door to this, waiting for a call.
Yes.
So despite the fact that there's a cease and desist prohibiting you from doing this work at this property, so instead you're sitting next door and continuing to operate the business, correct?
Well, we're not operating anything into the business.
Right, but
So
I understand.
what you're saying is we're not allowed to park on private property that we got permission from the owner. We're not using the property, but we got permission to park a truck on the outside.
So you're just sitting there and waiting for calls,
Yes.
and then going out and doing the calls?
Yes.
And then where do the cars go?
They come back down to our neighborhood location.
Is there a reason why you have to be sitting there in order to take the calls?
No, there's no specific reason, just where we park.
So if the commissioners were going to grant you conditional use approval, you understand that you would not be able to resume activities at this location until the structure was completed, correct?
Yes.
And if the commissioners were inclined to grant you conditional use approval, do I have your testimony that you're going to remove the trailer and you're going to completely cease operations out of this location, correct?
Yes.
So despite the fact that there's already 2 notices telling you to do this time now you're going to do it?
Well, I was going to say, you spoke to the code guy, and that's what I was told to do.
And just, Commissioner Higgins, you had asked about the specific citations, and there was 145101, which was the trailer, then it was 127802, which is requires him to get conditional use approval, and then 125206 is, he also doesn't have a use permit to operate the township. So you really shouldn't be lurking in the industrial park without a use permit. Just
So it's okay to park in Wawa's parking lot? Or hang out? So are you saying I can't have a truck at all in Aston Township?
well, so you're already under a cease and desist to prohibit, to stop you from doing what you're doing, and so instead you're hiding in the property next door. So I don't really see that as being a compliant with the violation notice. And one more question with regards to security. So in these pictures, they showed the green fenced-in yard, and you mentioned that you have the barbed wire and surveillance cameras. So all that security system is currently in place?
Yes.
Is there anything new that would be employed if you were given permission to operate?
No, unless the township asks for something specific.
Commissioner Stoddard, those are my questions.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we'll ask anyone in the audience, Jim.
Jim, just one other one.
Yeah.
So the fencing itself, because I look at the site, this is fencing that you installed for the start of the business.
Yes.
Did you place an 811 call for the fencing? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So we're going to ask anyone in the public has a question in reference to this conditional use. Okay, seeing none?
I have one
Actually,
question.
I have one question.
You need to come up, state your name and address. Just step aside and you can address the question.
Kathy Papp, 29 days of coverage. Just one question, if you even know the answer, when, again, potentially limited for crashed cars, okay? I understand it's not just damaged cars, but that seems to be one of the concerns. So my question is, when you said that the state police would get the paperwork done and then it would then eventually go to a junkyard, salvage yard, do we know what that time frame possibly is?
It could be anywhere from up to 6 months for the state to process the paperwork.
Because the reason I'm asking is our ordinance is about junkyards, and again, you are alluding to the fact of draining, et cetera, so it's a fine line with junkyard and crash cars. So that was my question. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have a question? Okay.
In other words, you can't do any business right now without a first on that plan, right?
That's correct.
You're saying more or less you're not sure whether you're going to build there or not.
Well,
So
yes,
you've got a lot there you can't do anything with.
Well, not I, John Schmidt,
Well,
the
you know-
owner's got a lot there, he's got nothing, obviously.
No, but I'm saying that your business you want to put there, you can't come in there until you build a thing. You gotta
That's correct.
Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, we're going to, thank you for your testimony, we appreciate it. All right, what you, call Commissioner Higgins, state meeting.
Make a motion to take the meeting outside.
Second.
I have second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, I want to move on to the old business. Line item A, consider a motion to approve the conditional use request of Mr. Joyce. Commissioner Higgins.
I make a motion to approve the conditional use request of Edward Joyce III, an equipment seller LLC. The use of property located at 1601 Dutton Mill Road, Aston, PO 11014, for truck and equipment sales subject to the following. The applicant shall obtain a PA dot approval for the change of use, that's a Pennsylvania PennDOT Department of Transportation. All equipment shall be stored on the existing pavement or gravel only. Any interior alterations will require a building permit. Fencing will require a permit. Compliance with DEP regulations if necessary. The applicant's testimony during the conditional use hearing held on October 19, 2022. That has to be part of the conditional use. Compliance with all township building codes and the rural area between the property and Kingston Terrace townhouses will not be disturbed without approval from the Board of Commissioners. That is the form of the motion.
I have second. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Under new business, consider a motion to approve the Aston Township preliminary budget. The happiest time of the year for Commissioner Dodd.
All right, so tonight I'll give the preliminary budget presentation for fiscal year 2023 for the township. Just as a reminder, this is a very high level. I'll put in the detail next month for the final budget, so I'll not talk too much tonight. Reverse the presentations. All right, so this is what we're looking at for 2023. We're looking at total expenditures of $16.6 million, balanced by total revenues of $16.6 million. We have our general operating budget of $11.9 million. This includes police, roads, code, everything. We have our library tax of $45,000 fire. We have debt this year, which is actually higher, which we'll talk about in a second. We just got a new 2022 bond for the proposed township building. Liquid fuels, this is the money taxes paid throughout the state. We get this from the state for road paving. Sanitation, which is a separate line item, which is used for trash pickup. And of course, capital, which is our capital expenditure expenditures throughout the year, throughout the township. So, look at this real quick. Move on. So our millage comparison, our proposed millage for 2023, we're looking at a 6.6% increase. See, gentlemen, we're looking at that, it should go 6.7%. Debt service is a big one, going up 10% because of the additional 2022 bond for $10 million. So our millage increase has three main drivers. Number one, we'll get the addition of the $10 million 2022 bond, which has been allocated for the proposed new township building. Number two is inflation. Inflation hit us hard this year. It led to increased prices for everything, especially fuel. And finally, number three, looking at reduced expected revenues from the permit fees next year. One thing I want to point out is we're still awaiting the final assessed value of all township properties, which is, you can't see my cursor. Well, we're at a total assessed value of $1.6 billion. We usually get this number from the county in late November or December. Once we get this data, we can then determine our final budget. We do expect the millage rate to drop somewhat between now and then. So we don't think it'll be quite 6.6, probably something below that. Our sanitation fees, we're currently paying in 2022 $78 a ton to the Delaware County Solid Waste Authority. We anticipate that rate will increase to $89 a ton in 2023. You factor that in along with the increased fuel charges. We have to increase our sanitation surcharge from $280 to $310 a year, which is a $30 increase. And as I previously mentioned, the total sanitation costs of the township for 2022 are estimated to be $1.4 million. So the detailed final budget presentation will be held at our December commission meeting on December 21st. The complete preliminary budget will also be available for review on the township website or by calling the township administration. So December 21st will be the final budget presentation, and we'll actually vote for the final budget at our year-end meeting on Thursday, December 29th at 3 p.m. And that's all I have for that. Any questions first from the board?
John, could you explain to the residents why we have the final budget presentation and the vote a later date?
Well, as I said, there's several reasons. Number one was the assessment, total assessment. We don't know what our total property assessment is. Usually within a certain range, but it might increase or decrease over the years, so we don't fully know what that is yet. And number two is the state, I understand it's a state law that requires that you need a 30-day window between the preliminary budget presentation and your final budget adoption. So, can I answer your question, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so I make a motion to approve the 2023 Aston Township preliminary budget.
I have second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Line item B, consider resolution with PennDOT for policy and procedures. Commissioner Regan.
Yeah, thank you. Let me just provide a little bit of background before I make the motion. So some folks may recall the back and forth in terms of traffic improvements in front of the Aston Township Community Center on Concord Road. We announced at a recent board meeting, I can't remember if it was the last one or the one before, that had moved away from the focus on the traffic circle / roundabout and look at basically some other improvements and enhancements. And PennDOT had agreed to basically move those grant funds over to this project. So because of that, we're required under PennDOT policy and procedure to select a consultant, an engineering consultant to do that work, and so there needs to be an RFP for it. So the motion I'm about to make is essentially to do just that, to allow the township to go out and solicit an RFP to hire an engineering consultant to do that work and put that proposal and package together. So that's the background. So with that background, is that hit it, Joe? All right. So with that background, I make a motion to approve the PennDOT policy and procedure for consultant selection.
Second. I have second. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Opposed? Ayes have it. Line item C, and that's notice of the sale of the generator. Commissioner Penfield.
Yeah, I want to announce a notice of Kohler 80 kilowatt generator being sold. I would like to announce the notice of Kohler 80 kilowatt generator currently located at the Aston Township Municipal Building being sold to Advanced Power Generation LLC, Claymont, Delaware, in the amount of $4,000.
Thank you. All right, line item D, consider a motion to approve refunds. Commissioner Dockery.
All right, consider a motion to approve the refund request for renewal by Anderson, 761 Fifth Avenue, Suite 3, in Flushing, PA 19406, in the amount of $1,200 for pedal permits that were not approved by the Aston Township Police Department in the form of motion.
Second.
I have a second. Questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Line item E, consider a motion to approve another refund. Commissioner Dockery.
Consider a motion to approve the refund request for Harry Steele, 691 New Road, Aston, PA 19014, in the amount of $114 for a building permit that was canceled in the form of motion.
Any second. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Line item F, consider a motion to approve another refund. Commissioner Dockery.
Consider a motion to approve the refund request for James R. Mulkey, 47 Norman Street, Aston, PA 19014, in the amount of $54 for a dumpster/pod permit that was canceled in the form of motion.
Second. Second. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, I'd like to move on to escrow releases. Commissioner Higgins.
Thank you. Escrows. Aston Township, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Resolution 2022-143. Whereas ordinance number 240 and ordinance number 360 provide for escrow funds for completion of improvements, and whereas the Township Engineer and the New Construction Committee has approved the request for escrow funds released through Church of Christ Land Development, Folio 0113-00, sub-account number 7764-39818. What you fast for what is going on me? Okay. Now therefore be it resolved that Aston Township execute such action as required by the Township Secretary and the President of the Board of Commissioners to release the sum of $1,500 payable to Church of Christ, 2148 Bridgewater Road, Aston, PA 19014. Duly adopted the 16th day of November 2022, Township of Aston by James N. Stigall, President, Board of Commissioners, attested to by Township Secretary Kelly A. Pippin. In form of a motion.
Second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next.
Next one, Resolution 2022-144, and that one is for the approval of escrow funds released to Church of Christ, Folio 0113-00, sub-account number 7763506-771. And this action is required by the Township Secretary and President of the Board of Commissioners to release the sum of $351.75 payable to Church of Christ, 2148 Bridgewater Road, Aston, PA, and now again in the form of a motion.
Second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Next one, for escrow funds released to released to Tesla Energy/Solar City, Courtney Scalhorn, 105 Dr. Lane, file number 0822-52, and sub-account number 7765359-342, and that releases the sum of $350 payable to Tesla Energy/Solar City, Courtney Scalhorn, 105 Dr. Lane, in the form of a motion.
That's it. I have a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Resolution number 2022-146, and after this release of escrow funds released to Vision Solar LLC, 101 Greenbrier Place, Ash Ameed, Folio 1104-11, and sub-account 7765359-839. And that is to release the sum of $177.75 payable to Vision Solar LLC, 101 Greenbrier Place, Ash Ameed, in the form of a motion.
I have a second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
And last, I have two summary escrow releases. The following amount is for engineering fees to be paid to Appealing Associates for the month of November in the amount of $4,332 in the form of a motion.
A second. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
The following amount is for engineering fees to be paid to Associates Inc. for the month of November, $5,445 in the form of a motion.
Second. Questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
And that's it for yours first.
Thank you. All right, I'd like to open up the floor to the public. If you have something, please come up. Name and address, please.
Very quickly, Mary Ann Boone, 3235 Darwin Circle. The Aston Business Association held their annual Community Day, Business Expo, and Parade on Saturday, October 8th. It was a beautiful day, and the well over 3,000 residents had a great time enjoying all the events of the day. This event could not have taken place without help and commitment of many committee members, adult volunteers, student volunteers from Newman University, Sun Valley High School, Northview Middle School, and individual young volunteers. The teachers, coaches, professors that worked with me to organize the volunteers, members of the community, and many backstage various others. I want to thank especially you, the residents, for coming and being a part of our community day. I am so grateful for my following committee chairpeople: Nancy Bowden Parade, Michael Janetti finishing organizing day of, Daniel Jerry cooking, Kathy Stackhouse and Newman nursing students parade and bike rodeo, Joe Hart and helpers John Furlon and Franny Miles traffic, Al and Audrey Everett welcome table through the lens. If you can find that on your app on your phone, there'll be pictures of Community Day. Olivia Everett and team photographers for pictures. Alan Morgan, Terry Burrell, Marianne Watkins, Bed Wilson, Tina Myers, Veronica Dyer, Phyllis Brady, Carol Stefanik, Brian McAlmore, and Jim Person for dancers dancing. Anyone that I forgot, thank you. Public Works, the great work they perform weeks before and the day of Community Day, and days afterwards, straightening up. Food rides and events were sponsored by the generous financial donations and personal commitments of the businesses and community organizations of Aston Township. With these donations, we were able to have a great event. Additionally, I am most appreciative of the unparalleled support of our local business and food eateries. The combined effort of all shows the true strength of Aston Township community. Your support is greatly appreciated, and I look forward to working with you again next year. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Anyone else?
Diane McKenna, 749 Goodale Drive. First time, so.
Say again.
Sorry, Diane McKenna, 749 Goodale Drive. First time, so please, if I'm wrong, stop it.
Only white points.
I just want to put on record that I'm concerned about the incident that happened on October 20th, the shooting that had happened in our cul-de-sac. As a person with children that live on the street, I have just concerns on there was not a lot of communication, kind of heard it secondhand. We kind of want to know where we're at with things. I know there's been a lot of people that have come to, whether it was police or whatever, about the conditions of the house and who's living in there actually and who's not actually living in there. I know myself, I've had run-ins with a couple of people that I believe live there. So for my own sake, I love living in Aston. I love being there. I'm happy I'm here, but I'm nervous because I don't know what to expect. And when all of a sudden you come home from an event at school and there's your whole street is lit up like the 4th of July, it's like, I don't know what's going on. So I'm just nervous as a resident of Aston and just want to know if we can get clarity on, is there going to be some sort of cleanup that's happening in that house? You hear murmurs, don't want to say anything here, but if someone could get to the residents of Goodale and let us know, like, what is going to happen with that house and the people that are living in it, because there are a lot of young kids that are on that street, and I fear for them as well, what's going on in that house. Thank you.
We feel your concern. It was a shock to us. I cannot comment because I'm not sure how the investigation is going. Chief Ruggieri has been trying to keep us updated, but we can't publicly speak until that is finalized. It's an issue that needs to be addressed. And we're doing everything within our power by the rules and regulations to get something done. We, Commissioner Berry's word, once we get finalized on everything, we will try to have something sent to the residents, just to update you on what's going on. But again, because of the,
Chief Ruggieri's in the room.
but I don't know if you can speak.
Well, I was just gonna ask you, would you like to say anything regarding this, Chief Ruggieri?
Sure. The gentleman or the shooter that was, obviously the shooting at night, he has been arrested. He was taken into custody by the U.S. Marshals. So he is currently incarcerated in Maryland, and we are waiting for extradition back to PA.
Thank you. Are we going to get any clarification on, is that house going to get cleaned up, or what's going on in there? I know
There's a process.
Okay.
Dan, I'll let you.
We are currently working with the solicitor and with the code officer,
Okay.
trying to address those issues currently.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Cindy Durwall, I'm 746 Goodale.
He's like,
Brumall, B-R-O-O-M-A-L-L.
First name?
yeah, for-
Cindy, Cynthia.
Is it like C-I-N-U-I?
Yeah. Everything she said, yes, and it's been 2 years since those people lived here, since the homeowner died. So, I mean, they've been squatting there for 2 years. I'm right on the cul-de-sac with all my grandchildren. And also, I contacted Mr. Barry, we're finally meeting in person. Our street's pathetic. I can't believe I live in Aston and the condition of our actual street, especially even down on the cul-de-sac. The junk they bring back to that house, the glass, the paint, everything, our cul-de-sac. I've asked for it to be paid, I know there's an allowance every year. My aunt's lived there 23 years, the street's never been paid. It looks disgusting, even where it meets Royal Gotham. I'm not trying to make it sound, like the street's so important, but it looks bad, especially with that house and what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else with anything? All right, seeing none, Commissioner Zachary.
I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Commissioner Pendergrass.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving. Be careful out there. Be safe.
Same, after Thanksgiving.
Commissioner Higgins.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Commissioner Bowden.
Turkey, happy Thanksgiving, and I just want to say, ladies, I'm going to speak for everybody. We all from the bank.
Thank you.
Each and every one of us.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Regan.
Nothing to add. Happy Thanksgiving.
No? Anything?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Joe?
Same, happy holidays.
Well, since everybody did, I don't have to. Well, since we're giving thanks, I just want to thank Marion and everyone involved in Community Day for making it a great success. And I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Without any motion